Yes, people, what's going on? We're back. We are back. This is the post-game player ratings segment. As I mentioned and alluded to you in the last upload, which was done yesterday, um, we're adding additional content on the podcast, and what we're adding is the pre-game preview, as well as the post-game player ratings. So this is now coming to you live player ratings, as we've just concluded Brentford v Arsenal at the G-Tech Stadium. And the result was 1-1. And to be honest with you, it was a game that I kind of felt was going in this direction, to be honest with you. I predicted a Arsenal win on the last podcast episode with the boys. But as the days have gone on, we've gotten closer to, I just have felt so uneasy about this game. That leads us nicely into today and into the game itself. I just felt uneasy the whole game. I just didn't have the greatest of feelings, maybe with some of the injury doubts like Kai Havertz, Saka, Odegaard, even, Trossard at the time I mentioned was a doubt for this game. Maybe it's the fact that City is heavily breathing down our necks. Um, I think now we're at a point where that's all kind of, rearing its ugly head. The pressure, the shark, as they say, that's chasing us in Man City. It's been an interesting week, right? It could have easily been a gap of 9 points, right? When as soon as Shabazla hit that free kick against Liverpool, sorry, for Liverpool against Man City on the weekend, at one point it was looking like 9 points was going to be the gap. And in the space of a few days, all of a sudden now that gap is 4 points level on games. And you're thinking about it now and you're thinking, shit, well, you know, the pressure is really starting to mount from an Arsenal persuasion. If you are an Arsenal fan, anyone involved, sorry, with the club, any Arsenal enthusiast, it's looking a little bit shaky at this moment in time. And I think, yeah, like I said, as I was watching the game, I just was getting some bad feelings. I was getting some nervous feelings that this may not be our day. Now, let me just give some credit to Brentford. With all due respect to them, they're a very, very good side, very difficult side to play against. The new coach has come in and done well, set them up well, and made them very difficult to beat. So it was always looking like a tough game. And in the end, you'd probably say a draw was a fair result. Brentford looked like the better side overall. They probably deserved to win it if anyone was going to win it. Um, but it's one of those things, it's one of those things we got out there with a point, and whether or not that's going to be a good point for us in the end, or 2 points dropped, will be remain to be seen. One thing I do know now is that I believe it was said during the game commentary as well that this was the last away fixture from the sides currently either in the top seven, maybe top eight. Certainly in and around those areas, right? This is the last away game against a team in that realm, that area of the table, right? Top seven, top eight, of the current seven, eight as it stands. May even be top 10, but I'll have to fact check that for you and maybe get back to. But all in all, this is the last away game against, these sort of sides in that between top seven, eight, uh, area, maybe even between top seven, top 10. So, um, long story short, that to say, we have a favorable, and I say favorable with air quotations, favorable run in terms of we should be going to all these games the better side, right? And would be the favorites to win all these games. And again, Brentford's ground away from home is a very, very tough game. We were favorites. Tough ground though, tough ground. And but like I said, if you hear going from here on out, and we will have a look at all our fixtures. I'm sure within the next couple podcasts, we'll have a breakdown as we get closer to when the game starts to tick off all our remaining fixtures and what that looks like for us compared to cities. And let's see how favorable the run in actually is for us. Without further ado, though, I will get into the player ratings as that's what you guys are here for and here to listen to. And this is the post-game player ratings from my perspective. So starting in goal, David Raya. David Raya, few hairy moments, few shaky moments, I would say, in the first half. Tried to rush the ball out quickly on a couple of occasions after catching it in midair. Tried to roll the ball out a few times. I remember one in particular to Declan Rice where he got completely wrong and tried to roll it out to Declan Rice and they pressed on us and Rice obviously lost it, but it wasn't his fault. It was Raya who rolled it out to him under pressure. It was just a little bit too hasty from Raya. Obviously, the tactic was to get on him, get in and around him, make him uncomfortable, right? When Brentford had their set pieces or long throws. Um, he did okay. Six, I would say, overall. Give Davirai a six for that performance. Jurriën Timber at right back. He played 90 minutes, I don't think when he should have. I think Ben White should have come on. And we'll get to what the manager's rating was and my overall thoughts on him as the um, as this clip progresses. But Durian Timber, he's playing a weird role at the moment, right? He doesn't play as a conventional right back in this Arsenal Arteta system. You know, you even saw in the end there, he's the one running through and on goal on the breakaway that Martinelli famously misses. Um, when Timber squares the ball to him. But Timber pops up all over the pitch in weird places, but he's just not. It's weird for me. If you have like a Hakimi or somebody who's a top quality right back in an attacking sense, then that makes sense. But I don't think Timber is. He's a top quality player and defender and fullback. Full stop. But as an attacking fullback, as an out and out attacking threat and outlet, he has a lot to work on that side of his game. He's not the best out and out attacking fullback, if you see what I'm saying. So we're getting him in advanced, positions high up the pitch when I'm not sure that really suits him. So, it's just, I don't know. I'm not sure that that's fully working for him at the moment. But anyways, overall, I mean, he had an okay game. Well, I say okay, but if a lot of their attacks are coming down the their left channel our right, which is Timber's position, then how much of an okay game did you really have? I mean, a lot of times, the covering center back like Mascara or whoever had to come over because Timber was out of position. I felt like they were getting a lot of joy down our right side, their left channel. A lot of when they're winning a lot of throw-ins on that side, etc. So I guess I can't fully say that Timber's game was great per se. Um, yeah, Timber again. I think Timber gets a six for me. Ineffective going both ways, in my opinion, really. So six, and maybe that's being kind. Christian Mascara came in for Saliba. That's one area we do have depth in is our defenders and our center backs. Um, had a good game. Christian Mascara made one crucial block right at the end. Igor Thiago's a massive handful to try and deal with, and Christian Mascara held his own. So you know what? For Christian Mascara's performance, I would say he came in, didn't really put a foot wrong. Stuck to his tasks really well, I would say, and yeah, overall a seven for him at a difficult ground to go to with big physical players and a big physical striker in Thiago to contend with. So yeah, I give him a seven. I wanted to touch back on or sorry, I guess moving forward on Gabriel, captain on the night, got booked. Um, Gabriel, moving forward on him and touching on him. How do I think he did? Gabriel, I would say overall. It's weird because he had moments, right, where like in the second half there, he made a few crucial blocks, and he always gets his head on efforts from the opposing team, right? Whether it's long shots from range or crosses into the box. Gabriel's always putting himself there or thereabouts, and he's putting his body on the line for the team. That's what you want to see from your center back, your captain, your leader at the back. But got booked. Stupid booking in the first half, right? Went to ground on Thiago, I think it was. Instead of just, that's the kind of defender he is. He's not really as much of a, I'm going to stand you up and maybe let the striker get in front and hold and stand you up that way. He's going to want to try and win the first ball, and he got caught for that foul, sliding in behind on Thiago, and it was a stupid foul and early yellow card, and that put him in trouble. Um, Otherwise, I think he was okay overall. Second half, as we saw there, anyone who watched the game will see he might have been fortunate not to get a second yellow. Again, down our left channel, their right. Gabriel goes in and puts a foot in on their opposing player. Gets called for the foul. The referee doesn't see it as a second yellow. Fortunately for us, but he could easily got a second booking there. Clumsy challenge there in the second half. But for everything else that he did in the game, he wasn't up to his usual, high standards. We have high standards for him, but I'll give him a. Hmm. Without him, I think we could easily lose that game because his presence in the box and defensive prowess is crucial. So I will still give him a seven. Maybe that's being kind, but I am going to give him a seven. Didn't get sent off in the end. He stayed on the pitch and he was crucial to us even getting a point. So I'd say seven for him. Piero Hincapié. Got an assist. He's another one like Timber, who's not the most, he's not the best offensive attacking fullback in terms of his final delivery, his quality in the box, his threat in the box. It's the end product sometimes with him, and that cross sometimes lets him down in Capier. But he did get an assist in this game, right? So we got to give him credit for that. He did end up getting the assist, um, which was a crucial one in the end. So I mean, for overall what he did in the game, um, maybe I'm doing him a disservice, but seven again, you know, seven again. Yeah, his assist was good. Not much came down his side, I don't think. So I mean, I could give him a little bit higher, but I think for now, seven is fair. Zubamendi, six, six, pretty ineffective in this game. Didn't do much either way. We didn't have any midfield control on the ball in the first half. Um, you know, in I guess even in the second half, I didn't really see him much. Yes, we started to get on the ball a little bit more in the second half, but I think that was in spite of his performance, not because of him. So maybe you know, I'm going to bump him down to a five. Really ineffective in this game. We were getting outrun even through midfield a lot. The only one in midfield, I'll say it now, the only one in midfield that really stood out for me was Declan Rice. But you know, keeping on Zubamendi for a minute, this was a game that bypassed him. I think you see sometimes when these games get a little bit too physical. Um, Zubamendi is not he doesn't thrive in these situations, you know. So fair enough. Five for Zubamendi. Wasn't his best day at the office. Declan Rice huffed and puffed, tried. Um, I'm gonna say he was our best player on the day, which is not saying much because we didn't have too many high-rated players. But he puts himself about as he always does, and he made a good last-ditch tackle in the second half that saved us. You know, again, they could have easily won that game if Declan Rice, you know, wasn't there in that moment to rescue us and bail us out as he always does. And he did it. He tried to make things happen on the offensive end as well. You know, he's getting on the ball a lot in high areas in the higher areas of the pitch, basically their defensive third, right in and around their 18-yard box. Declan Rice will pick up positions where he'll try and get on the ball, try and make things happen, look for the likes of Trossard, Odegaard, and so on. So he tried, he huffed and puffed, but he can't do it all on his own, Declan Rice. And you know, I'm also going to give him a seven as well. Sevens are going around. It looks like it's a common theme, but I think you know that's a generous seven maybe for him. But the best player out of the outfield players. So. Yeah, seven for Declan Rice. Eze, Eze, two. I'm gonna give him a two. Really, really worrying at the moment what's going on with him. I'm getting really concerned. We all wanted the signing, let it all work out and all that stuff, you know, with the famous video with Ian Wright. It's not working out at this moment in time. He got his chance today, didn't take it. He would be if everyone is fit, you would say he's at the bottom of the pecking order in terms of our attacking midfielders. You know, if Kai Havertz was fit, I would have wanted him to start. And then you're looking at Odegaard, and then you're looking at Eze probably. And Eze, you know, he's third choice at the moment of the three attacking players. And you know, in terms of Arteta trusting players down the stretch to grind us out wins in a title race. Eze has not put his best foot forward to make a case to start, you know, so and he can't have any complaints to wonder why he's not starting because he's just not doing the business. He's not doing it at all. It's really worrying. He was ineffective in that first half, and he's part of the reason, you know, he was part of that collective midfield that did nothing in that first half. Right? Like I said, they ran through us in midfield in the first half. Our midfield was non-existent, right? Bagel FC, some would say, nothing in the middle. Um, I'll let you to take a second to tune into and clue into that reference, Bagel FC. Um, yeah, as a two, poor, poor. Um, but you know, look, man, it's his first season. He's come from it's a step up, right? Look, that's what we're seeing. It's a step up from Palace to Arsenal, straight up. You know, and he's in the wars now. He's really in the thick of things, and yeah, poor performance from him, and yeah, I'm wondering if he's gonna you know kind of look in the mirror when he gets home and splash that water on his face and say, "Yo, I'm here. I'm in a fight. I'm in a battle." Um, you know, not only for my place, but in this title race. It's just this is Arsenal. This is not Palace anymore. You know, there's levels. The spotlight's on me. You know, and he needs to start you know taking the game by the scruff of the neck and grabbing that spotlight because at the moment it's not happening for him. Trossard on the left, puffed and puffed. Huffed and Puff Trossard, five, five. And as we get to the attacking players, I mean, it's going to be more apparent that the ratings will go down even more. But Trossard did not do much, if anything, at all. Maybe I'm being harsh, I'm missing something, but five for Trossard, not much more to be said. On that one, Madueke, Noni Madueke got the goal. But other than that, I mean, he too, like Declan Rice, huffed and puffed, right? In the first half, he was our outlet, right? Got the ball to him a lot to try and go one on one with their fullback. It was Henry, is it? Tried to go one on one with him many times. You know, he didn't really give them a moment's rest. But again, we didn't really have much of an in way of end product, at least in that first half from him. And then second half, he got the goal, which was kind of came from nothing because again, he wasn't really carrying on in the second half the way he did in the first in terms of huffing and puffing and trying and getting on the ball. It kind of came out of nowhere. Some would say against the run of play, but you know, fair play to Madueke. He got the goal with a great header, and now his second goal in the Premier League. Um, and so the goal saves his rating a bit, and so I think I will give him like a strong seven as well, because he got the goal. It was an all important goal. Victor Gyökeres. Hmm. Victor Gyökeres, four, three. No. I'm gonna say a three. Slightly worse. Sorry, slightly better rating than Eze, but second lowest of all the outfield players. Three, I think is fair for him. Again, huffed and puffed, put himself about, got booked, I think, which is a harsh booking, right? The referee was shocking all night, to be honest with you. But no, it didn't really happen for him tonight. You know, he bullied, not bullied. Well, he tried to bully the center backs a bit, tried to put himself about, put his body in the line. A lot of loose touches that you know led to the ball going out of play, or the ball just not sticking to him. Tried to hold it up a couple times, but you know his touch just needs to be better in a lot of those situations. Even just finding a man, finding a spare man, finding a free man. Once you do hold it up and lay it off, you know the pass has got to get there with conviction, and he's not landing his a lot of things aren't sticking, right? Whether it's his link up play in connection with the other forwards or just, you know, securing the ball. A good first touch, good second touch and just keeping it for us. It didn't really happen for him tonight. And, you know, that's Brentford's bread and butter, right? They're physical, big physical team, physical players, physical center backs, and to lead that stuff up. So I think that you know, Gyökeres was never gonna get the better of their back line in that sense. And that's the difference when you come to the Premier League, right? You're not gonna outmuscle and outbully these center backs and these defenders like you are in the Portuguese league. And just like Eze, you know, Gyökeres has come here and is finding it that you know it's not it ain't easy over here, man. It ain't easy over here in the Premier League. And yeah, Gyökeres it didn't happen for him tonight. Just quickly with regards to the outfield players and why you know they would likely get poorer ratings or harsher ratings. As per an Opta stat that came out, only Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Brentford on December 3rd. Um, so Wolves themselves, they're the only ones. Sorry, let me repeat that. Opta statistic, only Wolverhampton Wanderers, which was versus Brentford and on December 3rd, has seen fewer shots in the first half of a Premier League game this season than Brentford versus Arsenal. Um, that's quite a poor stat. Let me repeat this one more time for those at the back. Only Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Brentford in December 3rd has seen fewer shots in the first half of a Premier League game this season than Brentford versus Arsenal. For a side like Arsenal who's chasing the league, you know, you want to try and win the Premier League, that is certainly not good enough. Um, you know, and our attacking players, you know, whether it's the players individually, it's the system, you know, we got to keep everybody accountable, you know, and we'll talk more about that on the podcast, I'm sure that I do later tonight with the boys. But that's just simply not good enough. And that's why these attacking players get the ratings that they do. You know, that tells the story in itself. Off the bench, um, Martin Odegaard to start with came off the bench. Eze hooked at halftime. Odegaard came on for the first half of the first half. Oh, sorry, for the first half of the second half. Odegaard looked bright, was getting on the ball, was trying to make things tick, but then slowly faded as the second half wore on. So, I'll probably give Odegaard a standard five. Didn't do too much, um, aside from a bright spark for the first 10 minutes of that second half. Saka came on in the 70th minute. Is it fair to rate him? Didn't do much. Didn't do much at all. I mean, the guy's injured. He's injured, coming back from an injury. He's clearly not fully fit. Came on in the 70th minute. Didn't do much. Um, Standard five. For these player ratings, you'll notice, right, when players come in who have, don't have much time to affect the game, or, late substitutions, late second half subs, they'll probably just get a standard five unless they do something standout that either increases or decreases their rating. So Saka, it'll be harsh to rate him either way. Like I said, not fully fit, coming on in the 70th minute, game bypasses him, standard five. Martinelli. Now, I had to caveat what I said about Saka's rating, saying that it can either sway up or down depending on if you have a major impact as a sub or not. And despite the fact that Gabriel Martinelli came on after Saka, um, I'm still going to give him not the standard five rating. I am going to rate him what based on what I saw. Came on in the 81st minute, had a chance to win it for us right in the end. Simply not good enough effort, and I am going to give Gabriel Martinelli a give him a three for that because that's the difference between top quality players and not, right? When you're trying to win the Premier League or you're trying to, get over the line in a cup final, those moments, Gabriel Martinelli, you got to put that ball in the back of the net. I'm sorry, 90th, 90 something minute, Timber plays you win. You don't even need to take a touch there, but he takes a touch, gives Kelleher a chance, tries to cut it back on his right foot. Kelleher makes the save. Gabriel Martinelli should have taken it first time, regardless of what you do in that situation. If you're a top class striker forward for a team trying to win leagues, win titles, you got to put that away. It's just simply not good enough. The money you're on, the club you play for, um, you're in the limelight. Gabriel Martinelli, that is just not, it's not good enough. And for that, you get a three. I have nothing more to say. Calafiori, though, can get a standard five because, again, he didn't do much either way. Game bypassed him coming on in the 81st minute. Standard five didn't really affect it to do anything to bring his rating down and didn't affect it enough to bring it up. Standard five for Ricardo Calafiori. Bypassed him. Could have made a fifth sub, didn't. Opted to choose just the four subs, Mikel Arteta, and he's the last person I will rate the manager's rating. Um, I'm going to give Arteta a six. I'm going to give him a six. I didn't really think too much about his rating. Maybe I should give him lower, but I mean, I'll give him a six because I'm going to be harsh. I'm going to bring it down to a five. No, no, I'll leave it at six for now. I'll leave it at six. Because he picked the lineup to start that I think a lot of us had selected. Yeah, I think he picked the lineup that a lot of us had selected to go with. Um, if I'm being honest with you, considering the fact that Saliba was out as well. Um, yeah, so the lineup was okay. We are question marks still about the system, and that's for a different podcast altogether, right? That's for a different recording. But give him a six just because of the lineup. Not too many question marks about the lineup. But the rating comes down when it comes to the adjustments and the in-game substitutions and the in-game management. That's always been questioned about him. We didn't even use our last sub. We had another attacking sub to throw on, Jesus. Yes, we're not the biggest fan of him, but why not throw him on alongside a Gyökeres, just being on an extra attacking threat, right? But he only kept the four subs, which kind of means and feels like to me like are you running out of ideas? You have an extra hand to play and you don't want to play it. Why not? You know what I mean? You have the extra stuff to make. Bring on a Jesus. Some were saying, there was going around. There's rumblings going around the Arsenal fan base that Timber could have come off because he's tired or knackered. You can bring off Timber and bring on Ben White, who's a better offensive threat down that right side. Just give us something different on that right outlet. Why not bring in a Ben White to freshen things up at right back? you know. But again, you made the four substitutions. You didn't make that fifth and final sub. Could have brought on Gabriel Jesus as an additional attacking threat alongside of Gyökeres. Um, Opted not to do that for whatever reason. And otherwise, the other substitutions were like to like. Sorry, like for like. Trossard for Martinelli, Saka for Noni Madueke. Straight left back swap. Like, why not do something different sometimes to try and change the shape? right? Or like I said, throw on a Jesus and put two up top, or go to a back three if we want to try and win the game. It didn't really scream somebody who was really trying to go out and do everything he can to win the game. So from the players to the manager, it was all kind of the same. Not enough was done to try and be brave enough to win the game. The substitutions were like for like. We didn't add anything extra to go out and really throw everything that we had in terms of our full hand to try and win the game. Use all our subs, change the outlet, change the personnel, add the additional striker up top. So overall, Mikel Arteta gets a six, and maybe that's a kind rating. But anyways, nonetheless, there it is. There you have it, folks. Again, as I said, we are adding this segment to the podcast going forward, and to our channel going forward. Pre-match previews, pre-game previews, and post-game player ratings. So this is the first post-game player rating on the channel. So apologies if there is a little bit of waffle and I'm carrying on and haggling on a bit, but it needed to be explained. We needed to kind of go through it and dissect the ratings. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree. Um, Drop a like and a comment. Subscribe to the channel, as I always say, and as we always say, there is going to be a podcast that's going to come out tomorrow for you with the boys. Back to our regular standard. Um, full podcast for you guys. That's going to come out with Merdad and Laurent dropping tomorrow. Tomorrow being Friday the 13th, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so look out for that. We're gonna have a lot more to chat about. But this has been the post-game player ratings of Brentford versus Arsenal, 1-1 draw at the G-Tech Stadium. Simply not good enough, but we need to carry on. 4 points clear, and we move. So again, this has been CJ from the Gunner's Corner. Like and subscribe, drop a comment or drop some comments. Please, it definitely does really help the channel, and we want to know from you, and we want to hear from you what you guys thought of the player ratings or anyone that you rated or didn't rate. Okay, well, see you until next time, and see you on the next podcast. Um, and like I said, that should be dropping. We are going to be recording tonight, Thursday, but that podcast, sorry, will be out tomorrow morning. Should be out tomorrow morning, Friday the 13th. Thanks again, guys. Bye bye.